Hello my friends and welcome back to the Brightworks and another match of Beyond All Reason. I'm a little bit addicted to these 3v3s, so today we're going to check out one that was recently played by some top-notch players on Tabula Remake. Tabula Remake, an excellent map for a 3v3 because it sort of has these perfect distinct three lanes. It has this northern lane, this middle lane, and this southern lane. Means that I think this map really works well for 3v3s. It works good for 4v4s too, because you can sometimes fit two people. Well, you can regularly fit two people in the southern, or in the mid-section here, pardon me. It does work out well for that. But today, apparently spawning as the red team leader right here in the midsection of the map is a Cortex commander, a commander that goes by the name of Fader. Fader going to be showing us what they've got. 20 open skill. Oh, and actually apparently not the red team leader. Huh, interesting. So, the red color, but apparently not the OS leader. The OS high goes to better strategy here. Also a Cortex commander and spawning here on the northern side. 30 open skill, silver chevrons, very experienced at the game, probably going to be showing us some very good stuff. At least that's what I'm expecting. All the way on the southern side, rounding out the rest of the red team here, it's Stellus, the orange commander here, clocking in at 22 open skill and going to be also playing as Cortex. So we're all Cortex for the red team. That does leave you with a little bit of almost like a lack of genetic diversity. It's a weird comparison to make, but it's the one that popped into my head. You only have Cortex means there's a limited tech path that you can escalate down. Does it kind of work out well, though? I would say so. You kind of have all the important early game techs, and in a 3v3, you're not really expecting too often to get into that epic late game, right? But you still have access to some powerful T3 as well. The demons we've seen do tremendous damage across the map. There's a lot of really interesting options you can go for. So, not the end of the world not to have any Armada, but it does make me a little bit nervous, right? Somebody ought to go Armada, at least one person. Over on the other side of the map, spawning as the blue team leader, a Cortex commander that goes by the name of Mad Dog 411. Mad Dog 411 going to be showing us what they've got here as a Cortex commander going into vehicles in the low ground, matching the pace right here of the red commander who's also going for those Cortex vehicles. But we also do have an Armada commander, Rob, who's going to be playing on this northern side as on the southern side. Brightworks learns north versus south. Apparently I'm having trouble with it today. Rab going to be playing as an Armada commander, our first Armada commander of the day, and it looks like as well Shala Shaska, there we go. Shala Shaska, first try, and nailed it. The Cyan commander going to be playing as Armada as well. So interestingly, we're putting two on the midsection here, and then we're leaving. Is that a cloud? There's a cloud right there. You see that? Weird. Anyway. Brightworks easily distracted, a claim I definitely wouldn't deny. Shala Shaska going to be contesting the southern side here, but nobody essentially is going to be contesting this northern side. Interesting, because it does leave this lane completely open for better strategy to exploit. Better strategy having to deal with quite a few ticks running around in the backline here. Yeah, ticks trying to blast down that metal extractor. They want it. The grunt on defense. They don't manage to get the max 3% HP remaining on that metal extractor. What a hero, as it continues to spin away in the backline. Certainly with slightly better tech micro right there, maybe it would have gone down. With excellent grunt micro, though, it will be thwarted. At the very least, we're going to snipe this one over here, as it looks like the grunt defense will not be on point enough in order to shut these ticks down. It's the benefit of playing Armada. You get those ticks across the map so early that you can oftentimes find a lot of value managing to pop metal extractors left, right, and center. Stella's actually setting up a torpedo launcher over here. An interesting choice of static defense, obviously very powerful against any units that should happen to wander around in this coastal water. Not necessarily, shall we say, the most accurate of defenses, oftentimes tending to miss its mark and, yeah, overshooting or undershooting or just overkilling, even if it does manage to connect in any kind of way. But whenever it does connect, it does devastate units, so it's definitely a very good way to stop slow pushing sturdier units, Centurions, Maces, Thugs, all that kind of stuff. Certainly medium tanks as well. Those are another one that are really difficult to bring down by virtually any other means, but the torpedo launcher is certainly one way to take those down relatively efficiently. Now, there are geothermals on this map that are worth trying to fight over. There's a geothermal up on this hillside. It is locked on this cliff, so you can actually contest it quite nicely with static defense. It's one of those few locations where static defense makes a lot of sense to go for. Big old grunt run by right here. Shalashaksa not moving the units to intercept right here, as now 6 grunts managed to make it past the defensive line and head directly towards the backline right here of the Cyan commander. Finally, the grunts are pulled, or the pawns rather, are pulled from the front line, but already the grunts have made their way into the back. They've killed 1 metal extractor so far. We're going to need a little more than that to justify the damage here. So far, 200 metal worth of grunts. for 100 metal worth of Armada T1 units. Ah, we went for some LLTs in base. Interesting. Okay. Not the end of the world, of course. These LLTs can always be dismantled. They're metal eaten up right here, and with the defender's advantage, I think this will be cleaned up quite nicely. I think this aggression has been thwarted quite perfectly, and just like that, the last grunt is cornered and blasted down by the machine guns on those pawns. So, a couple of res bots to pick all this up, or just reclaim all of it. Either one works pretty well. As long as his mexes come back online in a timely manner here, all will be well for the Cyan Commander. An excellent deflection right there. Now, what I wouldn't mind seeing is Mad Dog stepping up into this high ground here, contesting this, this high section right now with a bunch of LLT turrets, making sure that no units are going to be able to come over through this northern high pass down into the water and up into the base over here. We already have a LLT on this side to defend against any light aggression. Looks like we're going to set up a flamethrower turret as well, though, just to be sure that there's no chance anything can push through. The base of the Red Commander ravaged by just a couple of incisor tanks. It's the lethality of those assault tanks and their ability to penetrate deep into enemy lines without anything else having the speed to catch them. Medium tanks trying desperately to shut them down, and Grunt's now running out of the woodwork to try and pop these as well, but my goodness. Tons of wind turbine debris tells the tale of a base that once stood high and mighty, now brought to ruin. Just 2 wind turbines remain here, no build power available. The lab is slowly churning out units, but very, very slowly. Fader hitting a critical E-stall here as suddenly we're running, well, actually not E-stalling because of his teammates' generosity, but definitely low on energy production overall right here. One of those other things that Armada has an advantage in is just wind turbines, just good old-fashioned wind turbines. Armada wind turbines are a lot cheaper, makes them a little bit more efficient, means that effectively, if you're playing Armada and you're on a map with high wind speed, it's one of the ways you can leverage an economic advantage is just by going ahead and making about 100,000 million wind turbines. Just like this, as you can see, the Green Commander going into 1 million wind turbines right now. As the wind speed begins to pick up again, all those commanders that have invested in wind speed are going to be feeling quite nice. One of the reasons why it's so important to build one of those batteries early on is so that you can actually store some of that wind energy and use it for later when potentially the wind drops. Incisors very slowly rolling up this hillside right here. Better strategy in position with the Killer D-Gun. Rattles the cage of those incisors, blasts down 4 of them, and 3 of them are forced to retreat off that line. That is a dangerous hill to push up, and certainly one advantage for killing bots is, of course, the fact that if you have, if you have bots, they can traverse those hills quite a bit easier. Yeah, the vehicles slow down quite harshly. The bot's not going to suffer the same issues. Little bit of a skirmish over here in the midsection of the map. Actually looks like a pretty decent trade. 4 medium tanks for 5 to maybe 8 pawns going down right here for Rab. Not the worst thing ever. Incisors again looking for value over here. Resbots patching up the incisor tanks was actually quite nice. We're gonna feed some more tanks to the grinder. Yeah, just gonna send another batch of incisor tanks through. For what it's worth, they do manage to kill the resurrected incisors, which is always nice. The twin guard goes down as well as the constructor. And so much damage continues to be applied over in this section. We need a constructor going over here and maybe building some of those exploiters. One of those superpowers of the Cortex faction is, of course, their ability to build the armed metal extractors. They can be really dangerous, and I think that's exactly what we need to see from the Yellow Commander. Because the side keeps getting banged up so harshly, I think 4 exploiters over here with maybe some twin guards to reinforce wouldn't be the worst idea right now from the Yellow Commander, who's desperately fighting on the fronts with a good old-fashioned LLT crawl to try and push back the Blue Commander, Mad Dog. Janus tanks in position to blast down the Commander. Oh, wasting their missiles a little bit on wind turbines there. I think they probably would be better suited blasting with the Commander. Fader D-Guns down 2 of them. The 3rd one will get its missiles off, locks onto that Commander, and brings it down to 65% HP. Not the worst thing ever, not the lowest HP ever, but certainly starting to put some damage on that Commander. Frontline vehicle lab pumping out more and more of those good old-fashioned Armada tanks. It's a stalemate on the southern side, as it looks like tons of LLTs have been set up for both of these commanders. I will say this army is probably big enough to actually overwhelm the defenses right here for the Orange Commander, but it's all a matter of perspective, right? How much can Shalashashka, yeah. Hope you guys enjoy me struggling about these things. For your entertainment only, I will continue to struggle. Fader in a lot of trouble. Yeah, getting a beautiful surround right now. Oh, actually not gonna go for the Commander kill here. Oh, there we go, okay. I was gonna say, the Commander kill would probably be worth it here just because you can take that Commander off the field. Blasting apart a bunch of those tanks over here as well definitely helps. And with the defense from your teammate over on the right-hand side, not gonna be flanked today, means that that Commander's medal is now lying ripe for the reclamation here on the front of the map. We've got the Resbot, we've got the Commander. One of the two of these should be moving forward, if not both of these should be moving forward to try and grab that metal. A couple of aggravators now stepping forward to try and jump into the fray here, but already a bunch of blitz tanks and pawns have gotten their hands dirty and are now blasting apart all of those very, very precious rocket bots. Ugh. Losing those rocket bots to a bunch of T1 grunt spam is definitely definitely painful. Resbots a little over eager there. Definitely could have been a little quicker on the draw right there. Rab, that is. A definite advantage for the blue team. Losing one commander, of course, means that you're down the D-gun firepower right there. The incisor tanks again rolling forward over here. So many thugs, though, and the thugs are actually doing a decent job of cleaning these up. The only thing is, of course, that the thugs are not very quick. Incisors are quite quick. They're light tanks meant for assault work. Res subs falling left, right, and center right here. There we go. Medium tanks finally being thwarted as a big swell of units marches forward. And just like that, we have the opportunity. Resbots need to move in. There they go. Stepping forward to reclaim as much of this field as possible. And getting blasted apart by two aggravators. Move the commander in, commander. Construction vehicle starts up a construction turret here to try and escalate the build power in this midsection of the map right now. Orange commander continuing the aggression over here as we have tons and tons of dead units trying to reclaim this field. Is going to be paramount, but it's also looking pretty rough right now. Stella's taken some heavy fire as well. Rocketeers on the low ground getting blasted apart by the LLT turret here. Not ideal, certainly. There we go. Construction vehicle finally latches onto that commander wreckage, meaning that Rob is going to have more than enough metal to overflow back to team. Yeah, indeed, not producing anything right now. Instead, just overflowing all that metal to his teammates. And frankly speaking, I don't think it's the worst idea ever. Yeah, reinforcing your teammates with just a bunch of overflow, not going to be the worst thing. Because, of course, tearing down the enemy's structures in the midsection is nice and all. If you can apply pressure in a whole bunch of different angles, though, it's going to be even better. Blitzes and pawns sprinting forward. Don't think we have quite enough to contend with this many forces right here. The Rep desperately needs to start up more production. I think it's time to start transitioning into medium tanks here. Now that we've eaten up so much metal, making those medium tanks makes a lot of sense. They're going to trade out really efficiently against any of these vehicles, especially on the flat open low grounds here. But they're also, pardon me, they're also going to be quite useful now that you have a bot lab up and running and you can make those res bots and you can go ahead and just reclaim them. My goodness, what a meat grinder over here. This is a beautiful 2.4 thousand metal reclaim field right now that we're just dying to get our hands on. The Orange Commander is losing LLTs over here. Not sure why Shella is not positioning a little bit more aggressively with the Rocketeers to take down the LLTs over on this side. If we could only take down these LLTs, the situation would be much more tenable. But we keep fighting into them and just losing rocket bots left, right, and center. My goodness. If the fight's inefficient, back off of it. There's no reason to keep fighting this fight without any reason to fight this LLT. Not to mention, of course, that this LLT is just a hero. Blasting down more, what is it, 5 Rocketeers? More than I think any LLT has ever gotten in history. That's a beautiful play. A couple of incisors sneaking around into the backline, by the way. Spotted a little blue blurb on the minimap, and it looks like these incisors will mostly kill themselves by running headfirst into exploding wind turbines, but the Thug is here as well to try and put on a little bit of damage, and I don't think these are even microed. Yeah, this is just dancing around on the corpse of its commander here, or the corpse of its buddy. Wind turbines, I mean, yeah, that was enough wind turbines to justify the cost of those units. Certainly very messy, though. Wow, mass blitz incisor. Who knew? Who knew? The assault tanks for the win right now, as it looks like more and more of these units are going to be marching forward. We do have a little bit of aggression now marching out from the red team here. Some of these thugs now pushing forwards. Finally, the LLTs fall over on this side. And my goodness, has it been a while. Shala needs to go for a change of composition here. We either need to see a transition into Centurion and go for a slow and steady push, or we need to go ahead and transition into assault units here. More and more of these resurrected units. I love to see it. Yeah, the Yellow Commander making great use of those res bots, picking up these armies and using them to blast down the counterattack forces right now. Really lovely stuff. Riot Tank doing a great job of stalling out a bunch of these assault tanks, slowing them down so that the assault tanks in blue can actually get some value out. But as soon as it starts friendly firing, you can see just how devastating it is to all the units on the battlefield, friend and foe alike. Blitz tanks moved up north here, and so much reclaim on the map. My goodness, it's the age of the Resbot once and for all. Stella's continuing to just reinforce this with the commander, but has already gone up to a T2 laboratory at this point. Reclaiming a bunch of this with the commander wouldn't be the worst idea. A gauntlet, my goodness, we're going for a gauntlet over a heavy laser tower here. A single heavy laser tower would be able to clear out every single LLT here, as well as hold off any aggravator aggression. The gauntlet, quite a much more expensive proposition for holding that southern line. Definitely going to be a large expense for the blue team's economy. Wow. Don't call it a comeback, but my goodness, the red team has made the proper tech investments, they've made the proper pushes, they've kept the aggression high, where the blue team just didn't seem like they could really rally their forces in the proper directions at the proper moments. There we go. Finally, some aggression on the southern side. Maces pushing forward right here. Stellus in key position for a D-gun. Wipes out all the maces. Oh my goodness. Thousands of metal down the drain as the orange commander sends the D-guns flying. And just like that, ruins the push on the southern side right here. These maces are now ravaged by the LLTs, blasting from high and low. And Stellus' commander is in a lot of trouble. 11% HP remains on that commander. The LLTs are falling slowly but steadily. Commander has to get out of there as those maces are trying to track it down. Boom goes the commander to a stray gauntlet shot. I believe it got the kill. Yeah, one kill on the gauntlet and it's the commander. Hard to argue that that's not worth the value considering the commander costs as much as the gauntlet. Or at the very least it can be reclaimed for as much as the gauntlet. LLT on the high ground, a double silver star general now going to be blasted to smithereens by the gauntlet fire. And now Shala has thoroughly won the southern side. T2 is on the way though. We have Sheldon marching out of the lab right now. It's going to be a matter of how quickly can they get to the front line. Can they manage to stop this T1 push? Meanwhile, aggression is still high, by the way, for the blue and green commanders. Still fighting on the front lines, duking it out. More and more Resbots sent up to the front to try and reclaim. Resbot's going to be clumped up here with this kind of command. Usually when I'm microing my Resbots, I like to right-click and drag to spread the Resbots out into a big wave, and then do a big reclaim command so that they sort of reclaim from different parts all at the same time. That way you make sure that you're constantly keeping them all reclaiming rather than just reclaiming for 1 second spurts at a time as they all focus on the same target. Any amount of reclaim is wonderful here though. And I appreciate it quite a lot. Yeah, Rap, with the reclaim, going to have more than enough metal to start producing some of those medium tanks here. Double construction turret's going to be quite nice for helping out with that as well, and the construction bot apparently going to be helping on the backline here too. Time for T2. Definitely time for T2. Well beyond the time for T2. You can see indeed the yellow commander going for T2 on the northern high ground as these Resbots partially resurrect and partially reclaim. I think we probably should just go for a full-blown reclaim command with nearly 4,000 metal, or more than 4,000 metal on the field right now. I think going for the res command is going to take too long. There's not much of a point to stay in the T1 era. You may as well just go ahead and upgrade directly to T2 units. Mad Dog trying to hold the line right here. Commander a little overexposed, not the end of the world, but definitely out pretty far forward here. Riot tanks too slow to evade the firepower of the thugs. Means that they'll go down as well. Resbots do get their values worth. They reclaim 50 metal a second, which means more or less, right? More or less, but they reclaim about 50 metal a second. Means they only have to be reclaiming for about 2 seconds in order to find their value. Salamander tanks now rolling out of the laboratory here for the blue commander, who's gone well into T2. Salamander tank's going to be fabulous against the T1, going to be quite atrocious against T2, so it's going to be a matter of how quickly we can actually get T2 forces out to the field. At least for the time being, though. If these Salamanders just want to sit here and take the brunt of the fire right now from the thugs, I'm sure the yellow commander is more than happy to trade those inexpensive T1 units for the slightly more expensive T2. I shouldn't say inexpensive. Thugs are actually relatively expensive. 140 metal apiece is nothing to scoff at, especially on an early game economy, but we're no longer in the early game. Sheldon firing away from the high ground, so annoying too. Yeah, look at them blasting away at those tanks over there. Doing a wonderful job. Assault tanks, blitzes. They almost had the right idea to move in on these Sheldon here, but instead did not manage to. Dude push, cries out the green commander, and I have to agree. Still 1,000 metal for the reclaim here, by the way, going for the Geo instead. We have the T1 bot lab, we have the T2 bot lab. 2 or 3 butlers to build a bunch more wind turbines and some E-converters, a couple of those welders, maybe some hounds. There's a lot of ways to spend your metal right now, and the Cyan commander is keen on spending none of it. Apparently wants to have a densely packed wallet, and apparently none of the units out on the field. Salamander tanks still getting value out here. Yeah, I gotta say those Salamander tanks do seem to find their value rather easily. Their ability to blast away from long range seems to be pretty stellar. especially when dealing with these faster moving targets. Their ability to lock their heat ray onto specific targets makes them quite powerful. Heavy tank's going to be quite good too, though. Those Tigers are very sturdy for the price you pay. T2 Laboratory on the front line goes down. It's the risk you run whenever you build those T2 labs on the front. This is exactly why it's always so dangerous to go for this sort of a thing. Rab in a lot of trouble here. This commander cannot go down right now. If it goes down, that would blow up most of the units over here. Would be devastating. Bulls are out, though, and the Salamander medium tanks and the heavy Tiger tanks are both marching forward, trying to find whatever value that they can. Salamander is quite a bit better in close combat like this because their heat ray beams drop off with distance. So while they're firing in close range like this, they actually get a significant damage boost. One of those cheeky little micro details that's easy to miss, but very important to remember. Armed metal extractor completed on the front lines right here. We're going to go for a persecutor cannon whose view is mostly obstructed by that LLT. Not the end of the world, of course, but just gonna have to deconstruct or maybe self-destruct that LLT in order to justify this. Torpedo launcher firing away over here, but it does get brought down by the thugs that are pushing forward. Finally, some aggression on the southern side. Okay, there we go. We're producing units. We're producing some welders out of the T2 lab. We need to route these towards the front line, but at least for the time being, with this geothermal almost on the way as well, the blue commander will be pumping out more and more of those high-quality units. Impressively, Rap stays alive on the front line here. This T2 vehicle laboratory continuing to pump out units left, right, and center. We do have the Persecutor cannon just about finished up right now, and it will be eager to fire away at just about whatever it can. Will it be able to fire at these Sheldon on the high ground there? Probably. Yeah, it looks like it's a shallow enough angle that it can actually land some shots up there. Abductor also quite nice, or pardon me, not Abductor, Exploiter. Abductor, that's the T2 Armada heavy transport. Never mind. Looks like the Persecutor cannot fire up there. Once again, the Sheldon Ball reigns supreme. I've had the roughest time trying to figure out how to counter Sheldon Balls recently. It seems like every live stream, Tuesdays and Saturdays, 12 to 4 PDT, I end up going up against a Sheldon Ball, and I don't know exactly how to counter it because they seem to be able to dismantle just about everything I know and love in just the blink of an eye. Fiends to try and keep the Sheldon safe. There they go, jumping on top of that heavy tank, going to be perfect, assisting those LLTs with a little bit of flanking damage, or I should say the LLTs assisting the Sheldon realistically. Yeah, static defense is great and all. Mobile defense is even better. Sheldon shelling away at everything that they can find, and of course able to reposition to shell away at even more. Bizarre lack of aggression around and up and into the hill over here of the Orange Commander. We do have quite a few pop-up flamethrower turrets. Would be annoying to get past, but a swell of, for instance, welders would have no trouble against it. I shouldn't say no trouble. Welders are sturdy, but those flamethrower turrets do pack a punch. The aggression is just all around better here for the red team. Yeah, I love the plays that they're going for. Keeping the aggression high and continually maneuvering the units around, making sure to constantly snipe metal extractors, making sure to constantly place their units in key positions. Fiends now marching on over towards the blue side of the map. We only ever built the one flamethrower turret over here. That was the only reinforcement we ever got, and it's a little bit of a misunderstanding of the way that this map works because you have such a direct attack path directly into the backline. I think these Fiends are going to be eager to exploit it. We've already got some more Fiends headed towards the backline here of the Green Commander as well. The few that got away. Little dynamic duo that managed to sneak their way into the backline. But right now, with all that reclaim going back to the red team, they've definitely done it. And here we go. Fiends now popping up on the other side of this hill. That pop-up flamethrower turret doing some alright work, but not managing to really save the day here. And just like that, those Fiends are pulled back to the front line. Okay, weird. I would have imagined we would have continued the aggression, maybe going into the base over here. Oh, we will. I think probably a missed rally right there from the yellow commander, pulling those Fiends back. Looks like we're going to try and blast down this flamethrower turret as well, which should be no problem for those T2 bad boys. They pack quite a wallop, and just like that, loads of metal production down the drain right there for the blue commander. We also lose a second Persecutor over here, my goodness. Yeah, the power of the Sheldon is unparalleled. Welders refusing to take the opportunity path over here. You can walk these welders around the shallow water and up into the enemy backline. Had we done so, I mean, you can see it would be the entire orange base completely obliterated right here. T2 economy and all. Instead, though, the welders walking directly into the line of fire of all of these Sheldon in the midsection of the map, exactly where you don't want to keep them. Yikes. Starlight's maybe a viable option here. Range of 950 beats the range of 850 of the Sheldon. Very expensive to put out on the field, though, obviously. 1200 metal means you could buy basically 3 Sheldon per every Starlight. Now, you can kill just as many Sheldon with a single Starlight blast if it's placed correctly, and if it, for instance, fires into here and pops down a bunch of those units, but certainly unreliable to make that kind of efficient connection there. Wow. The red team getting their T2 metal extractors up and running way quicker, and you can see exactly what kind of an advantage that brings. Now pulling in, well, depending on reclaim, this bar is shifting around a lot, but it looks like it's about a 20% advantage. Maybe it was based on reclaim more than I imagined, though. Salamander resurrected here will be the savior of the savior of the Resbots. We're getting blasted down right now by a whole bunch of scout spam coming out from the blue commander. Oh my goodness. The missed opportunities are killing me. I love that Rab is trying desperately to teach his teammate how to push through the water right here, continually marking out the path right now for Shala to take that 2 Chevron hero hailing from the Americas, apparently not aware of the opportunity path that's lying right before them. Sheldon overwhelming the base, and just like that, the T2 laboratory does go down. The green commander now blasted out of this game. T2 metal extractors up, except for one on the back line. That's weird. I wonder why this one was skipped. Anyway, T2 economy up and running, but once again, we're gonna send the welders to their doom. Oh my goodness. Sheldon Ball reigns supreme. Probably nothing as powerful as the Sheldon Ball in all of Beyond All Reason, just its ability to outrange, outpace, and outfirepower every single thing that they encounter. The Sheldon are probably single-handedly one of the most powerful assets in the Armada, or pardon me, in the Cortex playbook. Firing away with their shoulder-mounted arm cannons. I do believe the red team has done it. The blue team with no follow-up play here. We're going for anti-air towers, apparently spooked by the sight of some sort of plane. Oh, indeed, yeah, the yellow commander actually going into airplanes here. Looking to finish this game off with a little bit of bombing now that the northern side has been thoroughly contested. Sheldon blasting away at whatever they can. Radar jammer apparently of no consequence when you have scout spam running forward. All your jammer are fruitless in the face of 5 or 6 rover or rascal driving forward here. We do have Quaker mobile artillery. It's always been strange to me that the vehicle artillery actually has less range than the Sheldon. That always seemed a bit odd. Cloud kind of got in my way. Look, it like lightened up the battlefield right there. That's weird. Anyway, it feels like mobile vehicle artillery should have more range than the bot lab counterpart. I don't know. I've always found that a bit strange that those were outranged by the Sheldon. Suppose they are a little bit cheaper though. One factor in the equation there. Welders finally jumping on top of the Sheldon here, but it really won't matter much because as soon as those Sheldon turn their waterfall cannons on, they're going to be firing away directly at those welders, and down they go in a heartbeat. My goodness. Eradicated instantaneously here. Wonder what the range of a Banisher tank is. If we look at the Banisher tank, a range of 800 versus the Sheldon's 850. Yeah, the Sheldon just beats every vehicle, doesn't it? There's nothing in the Cortex vehicle lab that beats the Sheldon. I suppose the Tremor technically has more range than the Sheldon, but good luck getting a Tremor into position to fire at Sheldon. Yeah, you're really out of luck if your Cortex vehicle's against Sheldon. There really isn't an option. There is, however, that extra unit or experimental unit, the Siegebreaker. That could potentially be a solution. One solution that might be available for, why have we tech transitioned downwards? Oh, I'm so confused right now. Shalashaska going for a T1 bot lab and into rocket bots here. We still have the gauntlet up and running, by the way. This got a grand total of 3 kills for 1,250 metal. Okay, we do have T2 production coming up. At least we have the Fat Boys. Fat Boys also outranged by Sheldon. Is there anything that outranges the Sheldon? I know it's not Hounds. I know Hounds are also outranged by Sheldon as well. Heavy bombers coming across the map. I guess glad to build the anti-air here as it shoots down some of those bombers, but still they managed to connect in a big way, taking out the fusion reactor and retargeting to lock on directly to the laboratory. Blasting down that T2 vehicle lab, reducing it to debris. Just like that, the blue base has been sent to smithereens. Blue commander taps out of the game, as well as the green commander, both realizing that the game is well won as Shalashaska's commander goes down and the blue team resigns. Yeah, a beautiful bombing run to wrap up this game, but really the Sheldon Ball making the name, or being the name of the game here, the true staple of Cortex superiority, their ability to fire from out of range of apparently every unit in the known universe. What is there to say? Spy bots and EMP bombs, whatever you can do in order to shut down those Sheldon. Thanks a ton for watching. I sure hope you enjoyed this back and forth 3v3 match. What a wonderful escalation right there. You can see the blue player keeping up pace with the economic scaling here, but eventually outpaced by all of the red team and eventually losing the game. Thanks a ton for watching, and I will see you in the very next cast. Sure hope to see you on the live streams as well, 12 to 4 PDT Tuesdays and Saturdays, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace out, everybody.